All right, so so I covered that, right?
Yeah.
I can go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Is lovely Leslie in the room?
No.
Okay, can I answer her question?
Yes.
You know what? I'll save it to the end.
No.
She might come back in. I'll go to Dr. Mabuse, whatever his name is.
Okay.
Dr. M. Abuse?
Yeah.
Okay, hi there. That's actually Chaim Amalek, right?
I'm not going to say.
Okay. He said, what happens if the brothers are already married? In other words, an elaborate marriage. Okay?
Yeah.
If the brothers were already married, right? So, no problem. In fact, we talked about this, because Onan, I believe, was already married.
Yeah.
The second son was already married, and he was the levirate husband, and he was handed his older brother Er's wife, and he would pull out because he didn't want to have a kid that was his brother's, because he just wanted his own kids. He didn't want to have to support his brother's kids.
Lovely Leslie is here.
Lovely, I'll get to her in a second. Hi, Leslie. So what am I saying? So the brothers are married. It's not going to make a difference, because back then you could have more than one wife. In fact, you could have more than one wife according to Torah, even after the Torah was given, until, if you're Ashkenaz, until Rabbeinu Gershon about 1,000 years ago. That is the first time in the history of Jews that we couldn't only have one wife. So therefore today, starting 1,000 years ago, it would be a problem for Ashkenaz to do this mitzvah, and therefore you should always do chalitza. That is the minhag today. We always do chalitza, even if the guy's not married. Even if the brother's not married, we don't do this. We always do chalitza instead. Sfardim, by the way, it's since 1948, right? So nobody today has more than one wife. So that's a good question. Then he asked, should they just have sex with her to give her a kid? Well, that's basically what this whole thing's about. If they have more than one wife, then they would just marry her to give her sex to have that kid. That's what the whole thing's about. But nowadays, if they're married, they can't do this. You can't have more than one wife. You can't fool around on your wife, and that's why we do chalitza. Okay, lovely Leslie, how you doing? She asked the question, but anal sex is wasteful. No. Wasteful for what? I'm going to answer no. According to Torah, that's not wasteful. If the man ejaculates inside the woman's anus,
yeah,
that's not a waste. He's giving her the pleasure of his ejaculation. It's just in a different hole. There's no waste there. Waste would be if he was having anal and he pulled out and shot it on her tramp stamp, right? Like they do in the porn that you've seen.
Yes.
Okay. Then she also asked, so these are two different topics, pulling out and wasting seed. I'm going to say it's really one topic. Wasting seed is a euphemism for pulling out. But it's the pulling out that's the problem, because the pulling out keeps the seed from going inside the woman, and that's the waste. The waste is that she didn't get the opportunity to experience him ejaculate inside of her. So it's really one problem. Okay, Rot Wang. Is Rot Wang in there?
Maybe.
Qumran has a different name now. I'm not saying. I could beat the truth out of you so bad. Okay. May a Jewish man permit a Gentile TSA employee... This is a great question, by the way. This is actually a legitimate question. May a Jewish man permit a Gentile TSA employee to touch his genitals through his pants?
Yeah.
And I was actually asked a similar question, but in reverse, okay? A woman who's Jewish asked me a shaila a couple of weeks ago when this whole thing started, and I said, she was like, hey, what about these pat-downs? What's the halacha on this?
Yeah, yeah.
So I actually had to go look it up, because I didn't know, you know? And I saw modern Orthodox Rebbeim, the Gedolim from modern, and from like, more traditional. They all are on the same page that it's permitted, and here's why. It's like going to a doctor, okay? It's like going to a doctor, and the idea, it's the same heter. Like I just went to the dentist today,
Yeah.
and I have a female hygienist who was like all up in my mouth with her fingers and everything.
Did she let you rest your head on her breast? Like, you know, kind of, you're leaning back and she's like...
No, but I sucked on her finger.
Okay.
And there's a heter for that, because the heter is that she is a professional and she's not seeing you as or he or she is not seeing you as as an object.
Yeah.
They're trying to do something to save your life or to help you out, health, right? Now, when you get on board an airplane, the TSA is supposedly there to protect you and save your life, so they're working on the same principle that a surgeon would or a gynecologist would, right? I told the person, I think it's better if you get a female TSA member to pat you down than to get a male. If you have the choice in front of you, it's better to get the, right? Because actually, you could ask the question, why don't I get a male hygienist, right? But show me a dentist here in LA with a male hygienist.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a guy who's gay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I went for a male dentist that fits my dental plan. That's what I went with, right? I went with a male dentist, and he's got female hygienists. There are no male hygienists. But if you had a choice, I would go for the male hygienist.
Most of the females who work for TSA look male anyway, so you're not going to get away.
You have nothing nice to say about them, do you? They're dumb. They're dumb as rocks, and they look like males.
Not a lot.
When was the last time you flew?
December of 2008.
What? They didn't even have TSA back then. All right. Let's go on to the next thing. Okay, so that was a good question. So you should always try to get somebody of the same sex to touch you or something. That's why I have a problem with gynecologists who are male. What the hell is that about? If I was a female, if I were a female, right, I would get a female. Why would you want a guy down there looking? I don't get why a guy would go into that. All right. Now, speaking of my nephew, what's so funny?
Dr. Emma Beer says TSA employees are working at least. I resemble that remark.
Right. Speaking of TSA employees, my nephew Yaakov had a question, so I'm going to answer his question now too. You know, he's a big watcher of us.
Yeah.
Big fan. He's watched all of it. He loves it. He said, because I spoke about how if a woman gives birth, and she gives birth to a boy, it's 7 days. If she gives birth to a girl, it's 14 days, right? She's bleeding, whatever, and she can't have sex again. She's Nita. And the question he asked was, why is it double for the girl? Which we never really answered. And I wasn't sure, so I had to look it up this afternoon. So it turns out Rav Hirsch, Shimshon Raphael Hirsch,
yes.
he explains that the 7 days for the boy is under the auspices. The boy's going to be brought up by the father, and the 7 days reminds the father. It's like the bris. It's like 7 days. He's your responsibility, and then you give him a bris. The girl waits 14 days under the mother because it's more like the 14 days of separation during the nida when she gets older. So the mother is like getting set up to teach her daughter the laws of nida and getting her prepared for how later in life she's going to have to wait 14 days to return to her husband. Now the question is here, the mother knows what she did, but the daughter, she's not cognizant, she's never going to know what her mother just did for her, right? So the answer is that the mother knows what she did, and it's to teach the mother, to remind the mother to teach the daughter the halachas later. It's for the mother. Does that make sense?
How come most government female employees look masculine except for school teachers and librarians? Like, you notice there are never any porn movies set in, like, TSA employees or like toll booth collectors, or it's like all the rest of the government bureaucracy females seem completely asexual except for some teachers and librarians
and governors.
Well,
Sarah Palin, man.
She's
beautiful.
Hot. Yeah, that's true. And journalists, again, very, very, very few female journalists are sexy.
What are you talking about? Watch Fox News, man.
No. I mean real journalists, not TV journalists.
Oh. Fox News is like a fashion. It's like a modeling show. It's like even they're lawyers, right? They bring in their expert lawyers.
Megyn Kelly,
Megyn Kelly. What's her name? I can't even think of the. They're like gorgeous.
Fox Business as well.
That when they say Fox, it means they're foxes.
Exactly.
All right, you want to start on the Parsha?
Yeah.
Or is there anything else you wanted to discuss this week?
No, if it comes to me.
Oh, and I wanted to say hi to Ginger. I see she joined.
Oh, you noticed that
Hi, Ginger.
that Somali teen who was